we are again. I'm Mindy Turner with Curry County Cooperative Extension Service, your family and consumer science agent, and we are still grilling and chilling for the summer. This is our series on cooking things on the grill and maybe thinking about the cost as well as convenience and time and being able to use a variety of different foods. And then the chilling part, some excellent frozen nutritious desserts that we can put together and keep on hand. So we've talked a little bit about foil packet meals and putting those things together. We talked last time about putting together kebabs and actually how to do that on your grill. So today we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to talk about some of the seasonings and what you can use to cook your meat. So typically when we talk about grilling or barbecuing, we hear people talk about rubs, marinades, and sometimes brines. So what exactly is that? So I'm going to teach you real quick what the difference is. So a rub, and we all think, okay, seasonings. All a rub is seasonings. It is seasonings, but seasonings that go on the meat prior to it being cooked. There's a lot of things you add seasoning to after the fact. You cook it and then put some more in. The whole purpose of a rub is to kind of infuse that meat. So you take whatever those spices are, that mixture that you want to use, and you literally rub it into the meat. Whether it's chicken, a lot of times we see this with brisket or ribs. There's a lot of different, particularly beef, but you'll also see it sometimes tenderloins, things from swine. If you're having pork, lamb, there's some different types of rubs that are recommended for that as well. So you can put a little tenderizer in with it. Certain spices are more conducive to tenderizing things. I know a lot of barbecuers, the hardcore ones that make their own rub mix, and a lot of times they won't even tell you what's in it. There's a lot of tried and true recipes out there on the internet that you can look up and find, even from your different restaurants that you like to go to, maybe that serve barbecue meat, smoked meats. You can make your own. And it takes a lot of trial and error. That's why a lot of times these guys don't want to give it away. It takes a lot of trial and error to figure out what are the spices, how do they blend together that you really like. So one of the things you can do is, of course, consider what you want your base to be for your rub. Usually they're either sweet or they're salty. That savory kind of taste, maybe something spicy with some chili powder and things in it along those lines. So think about what you want that base to be and then expand and add from there based on your personal preferences. So again, a great thing about a rub is being able to bring in those flavors that you in particular like. So now you can actually purchase seasoning, different types of seasoning bottles that are Creole seasoning or Cajun seasoning or all different types of Italian seasoning, whatever those flavor types are that you might be interested in. You could take that that's already mixed for you and use that as a rub. Okay, typically a rub is dry. There are some that are going to have a wet base, maybe add a little oil, something to make it mix into the meat. Typically a rub is going to be your dry that you actually, like I said, physically rub into the outside of the meat to kind of infuse it. Marinades are liquid. And the idea behind them is they're actually going to soak into your meat. And I'm going to give you an example of one of those here in just a second. Brine, when we talk about that, and you'll hear people say, oh, you need to soak it in brine. Brine is basically just salt water. It's a saltwater mixture that you use. And the main purpose of it, it's going to infuse it with some of that salt, which enhances the natural flavor of the meat, because that's salt's job, not to make things salty, but to enhance the flavor that's already there. And it's going to add moisture, okay? It gets infused with that salt and that water so that you get a nice, juicy piece of meat when you cook it. And that's the job of a brine. The job of your marinade is to add flavor. And it might add a little moisture, but probably not a lot. Because typically a marinade's base is going to be something, an oil or, there's lots of different flavored type things that you can add. Some of the examples we have here, of course, obviously you'll see a lot of people marinate with just straight up Italian dressing, which of course is an oil-based dressing. Worcestershire sauce, we have some soy sauce, red wine vinegar, those types of things that you use as the base with all of those flavors, and then you add the appropriate seasonings and sauces that you like. So taco seasoning, there's a lemon pepper here, which makes a great marinade for a lot of your seafoods. If you want it, or with chicken is another great thing. So any of those meats you can marinate. So I'm going to show you today, we are going to marinate some hot dogs. Why would we marinate hot dogs? Typically, that's a good old standby. We put it on the grill to feed the kids, or that person who's picky won't eat anything else, we throw on a hot dog. That's great, but maybe some of the rest of us would like something a little bit above just a hot dog. So these are going to be marinated hot dogs. So maybe a little more for that adult palate, or maybe your kids really, there are certain flavors they really do like. So again, the benefit to marinades, rubs, all of those things, you can use stuff you have on hand. You can buy things that are seasonal, that are a good fit for you, or you can change it up to be the thing. Because if you get a really good deal on something, but no one will eat it, you really haven't gained anything. So being able to change it up and have some different ideas about what you want to eat and help save some of that money by having things that everybody wants to have. Now, of course, the kicker with marinades, rubs, all of that is you have to prepare it. And they need some time to sit and to be ready. A lot of your marinades, they're going to tell you 6 to 8 hours, or typically overnight, to have that prepared. Same thing with your rubs. If you get it in there good and you let it sit for a little bit, you're going to be better off. But remember, basic food safety still applies even when we're barbecuing or grilling. So you're going to want to make sure when that item is in the marinade that it's back in the fridge overnight. You're not going to leave it out on the counter. Okay, you make sure you keep things chilled. And if you're going somewhere where you don't have a fridge and you're keeping it in a cooler, you're going to make sure you keep it in the cooler and that it is down to that 40 degrees where it's not going to freeze, but it's also not going to grow bacteria. You can purchase thermometers that actually go in your cooler to make sure that it's staying cold enough. And if you have one where the ice always melts, you might want to check into that, because chances are it's not staying cold enough to keep your food in the safe range. So it's just something to think about, something to consider. So when we marinate hot dogs, one of the things that's going to help you out a lot, when you take your hot dog, and we're going to cut a slit in it so that as this hot dog takes on the marinade, it's going to really get down inside. Because of course hot dogs, unlike most other meats, have that skin on the outside where they're stuffed in there. So you're going to cut your slits. I've already done these other ones. We're going to put it into just a plastic bag, because that's easy to manipulate. You can also use any kind of pan you have with a lid, some type of an airtight container. Now this is an actual marinade made with chili sauce, Worcestershire sauce. It's got some onion and some garlic powder in it. It's got some mustard. It's got some brown sugar, so it's gonna have that little sweet kick to it. Get it in there. And then of course a little salt and pepper to taste. So like I said, with any of them, that's the whole idea, is you're able to add or delete. Don't put things in there that you know your family won't eat. And I'm gonna get a lot of the air out, partly because it takes up less room in the fridge, but then also that gives it a chance for all of that liquid to get all into those hot dogs. So I'm gonna roll it around a little, make sure they're all covered. And then I'm gonna pop that in the fridge, 6 to 8 hours, let the marinade soak in, throw them on the grill, cook them like a hot dog, just like you normally would. Okay, brown sugar is an excellent addition if you like that little bit of sweet. We talked last time about the fajita butter and adding the fajita seasoning to the melted butter. Same idea with the marinades. You can add that fajita seasoning to your olive oil or one of your vinegars and get that whipped up in there and make an excellent marinade for your item. Okay, so this is my favorite thing from this series this time. When we talk about our chilling and we talk about our frozen desserts that we can put together ahead of time. Now this is a frozen s'more. Nothing says summertime like a s'more, but how many of us, when it's 100 outside and really humid, want to go out and build a fire to make a s'more? And I know you can make them in the microwave, but it's also not the same thing. So this is an excellent substitute for that, a fun thing to have when it's hot outside. And so all this is chocolate pudding, and it's made with the milk, just regular pudding. I used actually a chocolate fudge because that's what my kids prefer. whipped it up with the milk. This is parchment paper in the pan, laid it out flat, and I chilled it back in the freezer just for a little bit so that it would set, so that I could add the next layer. So the next layer is some cream cheese, marshmallow cream. When I was a kid, it was marshmallow fluff, is what we always talked about. And then just some regular old Cool Whip topping that you would purchase. And you can make all of this sugar-free if you need to or if you want to. So like I said, sugar-free pudding, low-fat, cream cheese, all of those things is what we use to do this. So we're gonna put the marshmallow layer right on top of our pudding layer. And we're just gonna smooth it out. So we have the chocolatey layer on the bottom in parchment paper or foil, whichever you want to use. And then we're gonna put our marshmallow layer in. And now we're gonna pop this back in the freezer. To freeze both of our layers into one kind of giant inside s'more. Can't get that to lay out flat, but okay, you get the gist, right? You can see. Now we have the marshmallow layer on the top. So we're gonna pop that in and let it freeze. Now once it's frozen, good and solid, I'm gonna be able to take my graham crackers, because that's an integral part of a s'more, right? And layer them just right across the top, just like that. Okay, and now that it's frozen, I'm gonna put another piece of parchment paper on top, flip it over, peel that backing off, and put my graham crackers on the other side. Okay, and I may need to give it a couple minutes out of the freezer for the pudding to get a little sticky so that my graham crackers will stick. But once they do, then I take a knife and I'm just gonna slice in between my graham crackers, and I'm gonna have a graham cracker sandwich with a chocolate layer and a marshmallow layer as a nice frozen dessert. Okay, and then you can put them back in a Ziploc bag or some other type of sealed container, pop them back in the freezer and just take one out whenever you need it or want to eat it. So today we've learned about how to grill something and how to chill something. And we're gonna be back in about a week to do it all over again. I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service. If you're interested in getting more information on any of our programs, you can log on to our website, curryextension.nmsu.edu. Click on Family Health and Wellness. That'll take you to a page where you can sign up to receive our newsletter. You can ask a question, or all of our contact information is there. Thank you and have a great week.